Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Sunday chat with Nick. Okay, I got my coffee ready. Happy Sunday, everyone. Hopefully, your football Sunday will be better than mine. Ugly week for the Steelers. Oof.
Speak. Listen.
It was painful. It was absolutely painful to, see Ben get hurt. Uh, once Ben's hurt, what is there for the season? And I think that's probably my biggest hate for the game of football. That for most teams, you are one injury away from having a bad season. Let's see what happened to the Steelers the next 5 weeks without Ben. Can they even make? I don't see how they can go 500. But in many ways, it makes my Sunday easier because I don't have to have high expectation. With low expectation, whatever. I can enjoy all the games without being obsessed over what happened to the Steelers. Anyhow, I sent out my invitation to Shower Man. If he cannot join me, then I will invite other people. But for now, I'm reserving the spot for Shower Man, Joe from the UK. I did get a question early in from Mike Smith. Welcome, Mike Smith, if you're watching. Once again, you sent in an early question. His question was, Mike just got a couple cool books in his collection and he want my opinion on them. I had to say that I don't know some of these. For example, Batman, Mad Love, Origin of Harley Quinn. I don't know. But that ties into Captain America 109, which you also got. I think the market is shifting away from, it has been shifting away from Origins. If you watch, I made a video maybe 6 months ago or a year ago. It's been a while. But I made a video talking about how undervalued some Origins books are because the market are so focused on first appearances, and over the years, the value of Origins has dropped significantly. If you go to the price guide back in the 80s, okay, back then Origin and first appearances are almost neck and neck in values, okay, and in the past 10 years, you had this, the Origin kind of like flatline or go up a little bit while the first appearances exploded. And I think that trend is not changing anytime soon because, if you watch YouTube, you get the sense that people are more focused on first appearances, and that go beyond just YouTube. That you go on eBay, and people are even focused on second appearances, and for some characters, even third appearances. To me, I don't understand how the market are so focused on that, but it is what it is. Hopefully, I have my screen set up so that I can see people post. Sometimes I still haven't figured out quite yet to make sure that I'm not missing anyone's comments or posts. But so back to the Origin, I think the market has pretty much ignored driving up the value of Origin, mainly because Hollywood's in addition to the publisher, Marvel or DC, has reinvented, reboot so many of the characters that the origin are no longer the same. Thus, it makes the value of the origins less important, because it's not the same. It's a shame. It's a shame to me. Origins are very important, but that's how that's old school collecting. Back when I was collecting, sure, has always been keys. People that get annoyed by keys or keys collector, I have the news is keys has always been more sought after. The word keys weren't invented recently. It has been around for a long time. Um, you know, so sure, it's more magnified today, but but back when I was collecting, sure, keys are well known, but the next book right next to keys are origins, and that has went on the wayside today. Today most people don't really pay much attention to the origin. So Mike Smith, if you're watching and listening, sure, the books that you have are cool books. I like them, okay, but I don't think I have some of those books. In fact, I have a couple issues of Captain America 109. Love that book. Love that cover, but I don't think there are much chance of speculation blow up for those books. Same origin of Harley Quinn. I don't know. Harley Quinn. The market has a strange way of behaving when it comes down to modern characters. From Deadpool to Harley Quinn. If you look at Silver Age or Bronze Age character, people don't really focus much on second appearances or whatever. But with Deadpool and Harley Quinn, because the speculation fever are so high, sellers are touting second appearances and whatnot. So who knows? Maybe the origin of Harley Quinn would have more significance than the origins of, say, Black Panther. I don't know. I mean, the origin of Black Panther is Avenger 87. It's a yellow cover. I have a couple issues of that, but I don't know the number on top of my head. I think it's 87. I think that book is fairly cheap also. It's just not, it's just not something that speculators go crazy over for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't understand the market for the most part. Mainly because I'm not out there participating in the selling or buying. So, I just stay on the sideline and say, interesting. So yes, Mike, thank you for your question. I didn't even know that Amazing Spider-Man 700 is the death of Peter Parker. I don't know. See, that book, to me, it is one character that's going to not get monkey much on the big screen would be Peter Parker, because that is so, regardless of what's going on with the comic, with the comic books, whether they put in another character, change the sex of Spider-Man, whatever they want in comic books. I think for the big screen, for the foreseeable future, is going to be Peter Parker. I don't think Disney is going to, or Sony is going to mess with that anytime soon or ever. It's just too iconic to switch up. So I don't see the death of Peter Parker as far as a comic book will be something that's worth a lot of money down the road. Just like death of Superman, they bring back everybody. So I don't see a jump in value. As far as the other book, Hero for Hire #9, Doctor Doom story, I believe that might be 3 of the issues I don't have. I have a pretty good run of Hero for Hire from 1 through 48, I believe. But I'm missing 3 issues. I'm missing issue 2, 3, and then 9. So I can't say much about about that book. I do want it. It's just one of those books that, for whatever reason, I have a very hard time finding a high grade copy. If I settle for something low grade, I'm sure I can find it. But my high grade desire for that book have prevented me from landing a copy in the past many years. Same thing with issue 2 and 3. It's always issue 2 surprised me in that it's hard to find in high grade because it's a white cover. This is often they are very poorly cut, so it's mis-center, and then it's had the yellow-ish, brownish to the cover, so it turns me off. Every time I see a number 2, I'm just like, oh, it's not well centered, it's kind of yellow, and that's my problem with trying to find that. Oh, look like I got a couple. I see your message, so I think I set this up now that I can see. Chad, hi, hello, Chad. Thank you for joining me. And Mess Up Dude 11, welcome. Maybe your first time watching my live chat, so thank you for joining me. Let's see. Mess Up Dude, really disappointed with Death of Superman. You mean disappointed in the value or the story? I have a couple copies myself. Actually, I never bought the Death of Superman. Okay, I was not gonna go into the bandwagon train wreck, but I bought out a collection a few years ago, and in that collection there are I think 4 copies of Death of Superman. I think I toss them aside. I'm not very familiar with that book, but I have the white poly bag, and then another color like a black poly bag. I think, I don't know. I have 4 of them in a closet somewhere. But yes, I as far as the value, didn't they print like millions of those books? That's why it's never gonna go up. Chad said Peter Parker is worth too much money to mess with. I agree. Peter Parker is just, he's that's why Sony and Marvel will never mess with Peter Parker on the big screen. Okay, he's just too iconic that regardless of what they do in comic books, kill him off, replace him with a different character, Spider-Man will always be Peter Parker on the big screen, in my opinion. Oh, Mess Up Dude has clarified the story. I agree. The Death of Superman is nothing worth remember. I find many other superheroes' death much more memorable. Perhaps I will do a video on that to talk about death of Phoenix, death of Captain Marvel. There's a lot of death that has some significance. Even when the publishers spoil it and bring back the character later, there are more memorable death. Perhaps I will do a video now that you pose out really interesting questions. How to decide? Ron Chang just jump in and ask how to decide what is fair value for a comic book versus one that is a bargain. Very difficult. Very, very, very difficult. Okay, it's I hate to advise people to not invest in comic books because, in my opinion, there are much better investment outside of comic books. But I do have some money in the hobby that I would consider investment. And you don't spend $1,000 on a comic book and for the sake of just loving the book, you know. So I do have money invested in some books, but when it comes down to values and bargains, for some books, you know, if you're gonna go for Amazing Fantasy 15, you're likely to pay fair value. There's very few bargains. Okay, when it comes down to Amazing Fantasy 15, Hulk 1, Action 1, Detective 27, if you own the book, you are not going to sell it cheap. There is no such thing as, I'm going to give a discount, I'm going to sell something below fair market value. The book will sell at fair market value, if not higher. Okay, there's an old saying, if you want a Detective 31, you pay up, you pay premium, because that's the only way to get a copy. And for those that own a Detective 31 and sold it, often they regret it because the book keep on going higher and higher and higher, because potential and future buyers are willing to pay premium to get the book. So when it comes down to like Amazing Fantasy 15, unless you're lucky enough to go and dig out a copy out of the attic from somewhere, the majority of people that own the book know its value. Okay, and your best way to pay a fair value is to get a book in an auction instead of go on eBay for buy it now crazy prices. Buy it now on eBay for key books are crazy, inflated 10-20% above fair market value, sometimes even 100% over fair market value. So I would not recommend buying a key book on eBay with a buy it now price. I would suggest that if you want to go for a book, a key book, to pursue that through an auction, because that's probably the best way to get a price that are reasonable. But that's just my take. I don't see a chance to get that book at a bargain. Okay, but that's just my opinion. Hopefully my answer made some sense. Okay, next up, yes, I agree, messed up dude. Death of Superman was a complete media hype. I remember seeing people standing in lines, seeing the story, the books appear on news and all that stuff. It was just, I remember hearing and seeing all of that, and I'm saying to myself, I'm not buying any of that stuff. People was buying 5, 10 copies, standing in line. Madness. You know, the funny thing is, many of the people that bought multiple copies of that book and see that they are worthless are the one that participating in the mania today with all the speculation, because lessons are not learned. Mike Smith asked, do you enjoy Tim Sale's Jeff Loeb collaboration? I like Tim Sales, and I'm not familiar with what storyline you are referring to, but as individual creators, I like them. I do like them. You know, they two of my. I wouldn't say, as far as modern creators, I don't have favorite top 5 modern creators. I don't have that at all. But if there are people that I would look at their work, would be those two. You know, among people like David Finch. There's a whole bunch of modern creators that I would give a look. Not Jim Lee, no. Sushi X, hello Sushi X. Welcome to my chat. Let's see. Death of Captain Marvel Phoenix was much better. I agree. I'm glad Mess Up Dude agree with me. There are a few deaths that are significant and worthwhile to put in the memory banks, even if they decide to screw it up later and bring back Phoenix in different incarnation. That has always annoyed me. But regardless, it never ruined my love and appreciation for the Death of Phoenix storyline. Chet Addict asks, do you think there is a speculation mania today we saw in the 90s? It's a different kind of speculation. Chad, in my opinion, there is definitely a speculation mania. No doubt there is one. But, in the 90s, you don't have social media. Social media is a huge driver of the mania. Back in the 90s, there was a mania, but it's nothing like it today. There's one of the most popular websites is a website that devote to comic books and movies and all the news and speculation with characters and actors and all that stuff. And I did a video a year ago where I show how much traffic that site generate. It's amazing. That site generate more traffic than like MTV.com. I mean, it's like I said, it's huge. It's a huge traffic because there's a lot of interest in movies, TV shows, and actors and storylines and all that stuff. And so social media fuel the madness that we see today. And part of it too is, I have a theory that because so many big books are so out of reach of a lot of people, the mania and the speculation are focused on the low-hanging fruits. I hate saying it, but the garbage. It's hard for people to speculate and bid up or chase or hype Amazing Fantasy 15. It's a lot easier to hype a modern book that you can buy for $1.50 and trying to flip it on eBay for $20. But we are in that environment where it's easy to hype and use social media to pump up the garbage out there. I hope that answered your questions. Sushi Egg. Hey Nick, did you see the Gold Key Star Trek 9.8 go for 40,500? Was that at the Comic Connect auction? I'm guessing. I don't know. I follow the Comic Link auction this past week, and I didn't do a video. I thought about doing a recap of that auction, but I got lazy. And I decided, plus, Comic Link has, their big auctions every 3 months. And then they have the not so big auction. And this past week is a not so big auction where you get a lot of average stuff. There was an Amazing Fantasy 15. There was one Hulk, a couple Daredevil, but it's not, it's not like last month where you got keys after keys after keys after keys, not like that. So I did not look at the auction. So I'm guessing the Comic Connect. I have not looked at the result of the Comic Connect. But I will do that, and maybe if it was worthwhile to do a video, I will for next week. Okay, Sushi Egg. Yes, yeah. So I did not see that. That would be something worth including in the video, because that's insane. $40,000 for Star Trek #1. Woo! That's crazy. Mess up dude says sometimes you get lucky with a buy it now. In 2013, I bought a 7.0 Daredevil 1 for $9.99. Sometimes you can get lucky. Like I said, it's all about understanding the market. If for those that are interested in buying keys, I have always suggest, spend your, I think it's still $10. I could be wrong, but GP analysis charge $10 a month. Spend the $10, educate yourself on the prices of the books that you want in the grades that you want, and then you can make a reasonable estimate in your brain of what is fair or what is cheap. Okay, I made a video recently, yesterday, that I will load next week, on the benefit and flaws of GP analysis, because as helpful as GP analysis is, there are some flaws that it's not their fault. It's just, sometimes some data on a label are just not there to differentiate the prices. So hopefully I can load that video next week. But no doubt, GP analysis is something that's very helpful. I used to subscribe to that, but I canceled my subscription maybe 2 years ago, year and a half ago, because I don't buy slabs, and I don't buy keys either. So what's the point of paying even $100 a year for the service? Okay, I'm trying to keep up with the comments and questions, so bear with me. Comic Link is across the street from my office. So Chad, you are in Maine, I'm guessing. No wonder you have a cool attic. The weather in Maine is not like other places south where the attic is hot and humid. That's why you went to that convention in New Hampshire. Now I understand. For some reason, I thought you were in Massachusetts. But now that you say that you are near a Comic Link office, then you are in Maine. Let's see. Yes, sometimes I have seen, this is for Mess Up Dude, I have seen good bargains on eBay by people that maybe not aware of the price. And sometimes, even with the best offer or buy it now, I have screwed it up a few times where, I'm trying to squeeze a few dollars of savings, and instead of like do a buy it now, I do a best offer of like maybe $50 less or whatever it was, 5% less or 10% less, and then someone else come in there and snap it up. So yes, lesson learned. If something is a bargain, grab it. Don't try to squeeze an extra $5 or $10 because the odds that you will lose it is high. I have lost out on nice books a few times because of that. And many times, if I see a buy it now with a reasonable price, with a best offer, and it's just newly listed, I'm gonna go in there and buy it now. I'm not gonna wait a day or 2 days to see if I can get it for $5, $10, $25 less because someone else might grab it before me. Ron Chang asks, are Silver Age DC key books harder to find in grade than early Marvel key Silver Age? Absolutely. For whatever reasons, the Marvel Silver Age tend to be much more plentiful in high grades, and I think that has to do with the birth of Marvel Age. When Marvel came on the scene, it also kicked in the age of collecting. I think up until Marvel came on the scene, comic book was not viewed, in my opinion. Okay, I can be completely wrong, but I felt that based on my series of videos, if you go back and look at my old videos on speculation, and I was trying to pose a question when the speculation started, and basically after a few videos and through my research, I con- I summarized that most likely speculation started at the birth of Marvel Age, as Marvel comic book came in on the scenes. Um, it it started it's the beginning of hoarding. It's the beginning of people search out back issues, and it kicked in the need to preserve the book more so than prior to the early 60s. Prior to the early 60s, I think especially in the 50s, where people was destroying books and burning books, and then the 40s. And the reason why there are so few copies of Action One or any Golden Age because it was not viewed as something to be saved and collected. It was disposable entertainment. You read it, you toss it. During World War II, they would encourage people to recycle for the war effort. They need the metal in the staple. So yeah, that's one reason why Silver Age DC keys are hard to find in decent grades, like Showcase 4, because all of that was Showcase 22. Many Silver Age DC books was just not preserved because the need to preserve didn't kick in until a few years later. By then, it's too late. Yes, I'm glad I was right, Chad, Maine. I think the first generation of mature collectors are more interested in Marvel and than DC. Absolutely. I think that's part of the reason why a lot of DC stuff was not preserved also in the early 60s. People was buying multiple issues of Marvel even in the 60s to preserve them, to speculate on them. And DC stuff was, for those that ever read DCs in the 50s and 60s, trust me, if you read those books, they might be fun for the 10-year-old back then, but if you're 15 years old and you read a Batman or detective comic books back then, it's not good. Yeah, I have quite a few Silver Age DC, Batman, Detective, and Superman in my collection, even Wonder Woman, and they are just, I didn't like them. I might offend DC collectors, but for me, they was just not good at all. Thus, the need to preserve them weren't there. Sushi X asks, do you think people get auction burned out due to many of them? No. When I returned to the hobby in late 2008, early 2009, I actually trying to quantify the number of books in auction to see if there's a burnout, because I'm like, oh my god, you can't have 3,000 books at Comic Link every month. Maybe people are dumping the books because the bad economy, maybe they need to sell, but the market keep absorbing the auction. Comic Link keep having monthly auctions, and the books sold. I mean, it has not, the auction house has not changed their schedule, like how Heritage have their quarterly big auction, same thing with Comic Connect, and then same thing with Comic Link. None of that has changed in the past 7 years since I returned to the hobby. If anything, the listing get bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, 8 years ago, you wouldn't even see original arts at Comic Link. I don't believe, at least not that many. Now, every 3 months, they have hundreds of pieces there. So I don't think there is a burnt out. No. Will there be a burned out later? Maybe. Okay, I'm trying to keep up with the question. Chad asks, any comic books you can easily sell for more than you bought it for is a bargain. Yeah, that's you know, I agree. You know, it's there's bargains everywhere. You know, the old saying, you know, one man trash is another man treasure. You know, I mean, the only bargain that's hard to find are mega keys, because there is really no bargains, because the people that own mega keys, for the most part, can afford to own them. And unless you make a crazy offer to pry that book out of their hands, they are not forced to sell. Forced selling is where this bargain, okay, is with any kind of investment. When they are forced selling due to whatever circumstance, you will see bargains, whether it's stock, foreclosed home, whatever it is, okay? But unless they are forced selling, it's not that easy to find bargains on big keys. Ron Chang asked, does movie announcement actually increase the value of key comic books? Sure, it has. It has for it has, but I think it has more for the B and the C and the garbage. Okay, let's make it very clear. Spider-Man Amazing Fantasy 15 has nothing to do with the movies. That book has always been highly sought after, well before the movie, and regardless of how crappy the movies are or can be or will be, Amazing Fantasy 15 is not going down due to the bad movie. So let me make it very clear. Same thing with Fantastic Four. Regardless of how badly they messed up the movies, or if they announce a movie, or if they reboot the movie, Fantastic Four #1 is Fantastic Four #1. Now, if you want to talk about Squirrel Girl and all the other garbage that they bring out in the TVs and movies, or the C-listers, not even B, okay, C-listers, then yeah, the speculation would jump there, and whether they stay, who knows? You know, it's. I have mentioned this many times that the speculation mania, especially with villains, die very quickly. They die a horrible death, just like in the movies. Okay, for those that have watched what happened to all the villains, all the hard books with the villains, once the movie came out and they are gone, it's gone. So I can't advise enough that people do not chase key books with villain, because and I think for the most part that has already sink in. Just look at the Kingpin. As great as the Kingpin is in a TV series, Spider-Man 50 is just not exploding in value like say, you know, um, other villain, Thanos, or even Ultron. Ultron is a perfect example of how speculation boomed right after the movie announcement, and that book is declining and flatline. Okay, it's done. I mean, for those that bought Avenger 55 at the peak will have to wait a long time to recoup their money, if ever. Okay, so it's not something that I would recommend anyone to go out there and chase. I don't understand it. I don't understand the need to go buy a book because a character is in the movies. Not me. Mike Smith asked, Nick, have you ever owned a Showcase 4? No, I have not. I have not. Not. Flash was not something that was in my radar for the longest time. It's not, um, you know, um, I like Flash as a character, but it was just not something that I care to uh, chase after. I mean, I own very few Flash comic books, mostly because New Adams covers that I own them. But over the years, for whatever reason, the character never piqued my interest. I mean that's one reason why I'm not a big fan of the TV show. I watch it; it's okay, but it's just not, it's just not a character that I love or can fall in love with. I think that boils down to why I never own a Showcase 4, even though I think it's a great book. I have learned to not buy something unless I love it. So I don't love Flash, so I'm not ever going to own Showcase number 4, regardless of how significant it is. But for those that own the book, great, because it's a tough book to find in any grades. Chat's Addict said that generally those 60s DC had great art. They are the art style at DC in the 60s, even in the 50s. You have of course, Murphy, Cardi, Swan. The the arts are very different. It's to me it's a completely different style than the Marvel book, and I like them because I had never had trouble or problem with the art of the books of the 50 or 60 at DC. I had more problem with the stories, and it's amazing to see how much creation came out of Marvel in the 60s. If you go back to the 60s at DC, Batman and Superman were fighting alien cats and weird creatures. It just make no sense. I got a message from Jorge, who would like to join the last 20-30 minutes. So I will invite Jorge. Let's see. Oh, in my link below, I did link to a new channel by Jared Osborne. If you are a fan of artists, drawing, sketches, definitely, subscribe to his new art channel. He has a channel where he showed many sketches over the past year and a half that I joined. They're pretty cool. I like the way he have a very unique style of drawing. I really like watching his freestyle sketch, but now he created a separate channel where he will do his sketches and drawing, and I can't wait to see more of right now he did a video recently on the type of papers, the type of brushes, things like that. It's the kind of thing that's useful for me because I can always learn new things about the craft as far as the tool that's used, the technique that's used. I watch many videos on drawing and sketching more than Hall's videos. So Jorge, I did send you an invite. Hopefully you get the invite and you can jump in. So far, I appreciate everyone with all their questions. Let's see. Ron Chang asked, are there better values found in buying Silver Age DC keys? Ooh, I don't know. When it comes down to keys and investing, I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. I know the best keys to own will be Amazing Fantasy 15. I have been saying that for the past 7 years. I had advised many people that if you're gonna hoard a book, hoard Amazing Fantasy 15. Because it doesn't matter if you had to buy a book for 5,000. If you bought an Amazing Fantasy 15 and spent 10,000 or 5,000 5 years ago, you have double your money. And if you ask many dealers, they will say the same thing. It's the best book for the money. It's just like Hulk 181 is for the Bronze Age. When it comes down to DC, I don't know. Showcase 4, Showcase 22. At the end of the day, Green Lantern and Flash, what can make them more popular and drive up the price? Better movies? I don't know. I if I have 10,000, 20,000, or whatever it is, and I want to invest in keys, Amazing Fantasy 15, not even a hesitation. I won't even bother with anything else. If it comes down to pure money, okay? If you like the Flash or Green Lantern more, different story. But if anyone asks me for advice on like what's the best book, best Silver Age key to buy, to spend money, Amazing Fantasy 15. That's it. How about Hulk 1? Hulk 1 has exploded in price the last 3 years. Insane. Why is Ditko production art so much harder to sell? I don't know much about Ditko production art. I can tell you that Ditko Amazing Fantasy, Ditko Spider-Man stuff is so highly sought after. All his other work outside of Spider-Man are less desirable. So if your question is why is it hard to sell, it's hard to sell because whoever it is that's trying to sell it is asking too much. If you price it right, it's always going to sell. But if pricing right equal pricing low, then that means that buyers are just not interested in buying Ditko non-Spider-Man stuff enough to pay a high premium for it. I said that to you on an email recently, that, and I said this as, I mentioned this with original arts before in some other video, is that, unless you want to own a marquee piece of an artist, most of his other stuff are fairly reasonable. It's just like John Buscema, okay? Unless you want to own a piece of, say, a page from the Avengers, a page from a Silver Surfer books, Silver Age stuff, then it's expensive. Then it's in the thousands and tens of thousands. But if you want to buy a John Buscema piece from Conan magazine, a few $100, you can have it. And the same thing with Ditko. If you want to own a Ditko piece from wherever, late Bronx, DC, non-Spider-Man stuff, it should be cheap. It should be cheap, and it probably will stay cheap. I'm not sure what would drive up the value or demand for non-Spider-Man Ditko. Okay, I don't know. Personally, I would not invest in those kind of pieces. If I own them, it's more because I love that particular page for whatever reasons. But I wouldn't be buying a Ditko non-Spider-Man page for the sake of investment. Not for me. I don't know enough about arts, original comic arts, and depth. This is not like fine arts where when the artist die, the price explode. I have no idea how that will be. I'm looking at people like Gene Colan. Gene Colan, when he passed away, certainly there was a small spike in some of his original art, but outside of say Daredevil and some of the Silver Age Marvel stuff that he did, from Tale of Suspense, even Captain America, most of his stuff, most of Gene Colan later piece at DC are fairly affordable. They're not expensive because it's not a high demand for them. If people want to own a Gene Colan piece, they want to go Silver Age Marvel. Even Browns with the Tomb of Dracula stuff are more sought after than the 80s stuff. Mess Up Dude said 60s DC had a lot of silly stories. I would go even further to say most of 60s DC most had silly stories. That would insult a lot of DC collectors. My apology, but it is what it is. It's strange to me when I look at DCs in the 60s and there is such a stale of storytelling. Here you have over at Marvel with Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Romita, Buscema. They were creating like crazy. No doubt many of what they created came from borrowing ideas from many of the characters that existed before somewhere else, but they were creating. Over at DC, like I said, you pull out any Batman books from the 60s, and what did you get? Fighting aliens, cats, beetles, birds, animals, tigers. It makes no sense to me. I mean, it's just bizarre. There's a whole different kind of thinking and mindset. It's night and day. It's remarkable to look at the books that came out from in Marvel from 61 to 63. You take the same 3 years and look over at DC, night and day. Completely different crowd, okay? Different customers, different segment of collectors and readers. And we all can thank Marvel for that, because if Marvel didn't come on the scene and do that, I'm not sure what would happen to the hobby. That's an interesting question to pose, but I think due to that explosion at Marvel, surely it forced DC to change. It took DC a long time to change. Okay, it took DC practically a decade to completely revamp their style of storytelling and characters development and all that stuff. So we can all thank Marvel for that. Mike Smith asked, what's my favorite villain? Dr. Doom is my favorite. Ooh. It's hard to go against Dr. Doom. I would say on the Marvel side, right now, on top of my head, I would agree with you that Dr. Doom is my favorite because it's an awesome name, Dr. Doom, and the way he looked with the mask, the armor. Yeah, I mean, as much of a mutant fan that I am, I would put Dr. Doom ahead of Magneto, even though Magneto is definitely very high. He's just like a smidget below Dr. Doom. I can't call Galactus a villain because he's really not a villain. He's just, I love Galactus, but I can't say he's my favorite villain because he's not a villain. Over DC side, probably the Joker. I mean, it's very standard for me to say it's the Joker because I just like his personality. Speaking of the Joker, the TV show Gotham. Why? I just look at the clock. It's 11:50. Jorge, I'm sorry. I sent you an invite. I'm not sure what happened and why it did not go through for whatever reason. If you could not join, my apology. I'm not sure what happened. I did send an invite. And for those like Jorge, if you ever want to invite me to your channel for a chat on a different day, I'll be more than happy to do so. That go for anybody. You know, I'm just my Sunday chat is just a way for me to connect with other people on the YouTube land. But you know, if you want to invite me to your own chat on your own channel, just shoot me a message, and I will be happy to participate if I can. Back to Gotham. Oh my God! As much as I hated episode 1, Chad, if you're still around, let me know what you think about episode 2. I know you like it more than I did, but my problem with Gotham is the characters. You know, I mean, I like the gangster in season 1, even though Fish was kind of annoying. I'm glad she's gone. The cast of baddies for season 2 is getting on my nerves because the Joker is just, well, if you want to call him, I call him the Joker because that's what he is. Even though he might not be the Joker from the comic books, he's just way over the top for me. It's just, he's just way too much for me. Too much madness without any reasons, too over the top. I don't blame the actor for the overacting because maybe that's how it was written, but and then the other guys, the other baddies, they're all a bunch of buffoons, idiots. It's just like, what is it's the Joker are just too smart, too clever to even deal with all the buffoons that he had to be around. Like I said, that I did not like. I did not like the episode at all. The whole school bus with the cheerleaders. Oh, painful, painful. Will I watch episode 3? It will be the last shot. You know, I after the last episode, I'm saying, okay, Gotham has one last chance to save for me, because if the next episode is just as poor as the first 2, I think that's the end of Gotham for me. Comic Crack just joined. I just saw your post. Good morning. Glad you can join me, but I'm leaving in 10 minutes. I'm glad you can pop in. Hopefully you can join me in one of these days live. I'd love to talk to you from Canada. Other than that, if you watch my my collection video I just posted up, that's what I will be doing this afternoon. I pull out a bunch of books. Oops. Okay, and these are the kind of containers I'm keeping my books. The last video I pulled out 3 of them to make the video, so I pulled out 3 more to grade, scan. It's gonna be a chore, but I figure if I need to motivate myself to do it because people like to see my collection, then so be it. I will do it. But yes, I pull out, let's see, those 3 boxes I just pulled out for this morning is all DC war books. So for the DC war fan, yes, I am getting into those. There you have Our Armies at War, Our Fighting Force, and GI Combats. There's like over 100 books there. So grading 100 books and scanning 100 books, that's gonna be the task for this week. Then I already shot my collection videos. I already shot 3 of the videos. So if the DC war books make it to the YouTube land, it will be probably the 4th video because I already shot 2 and 3. Does people want to see every single book I own? I don't think so, but it's something to do. Okay, so you know, it's not it's not on top of my priority to scan and grade all the books, but it's a necessity. I have to do it. It's just some of the thing that I've been putting off doing for a long time, and I just can't have my books so unorganized for so many years. It's time. Terrence, absolutely. One of these days, we need to join in. I love to be in the chat with Damien and La Raza. It's a lot of fun, you know. I noticed though, you tend to hold chat at weird times, like in the afternoon, midweek. Whenever I saw a chat from Terrence, it's like 3 o'clock on a Wednesday. I can't do it, you know, or something like that, you know. So if you ever hold a chat on a weekend, well, my schedule is pretty crazy. Sometimes I have a lot of free time during the week, and sometimes I don't. On the weekend, I tend to have more free time, especially on Sunday, like today. My wife and son is at the movies. They went to see Transylvania 2. That should be fun. Anthony liked Transylvania. I like Transylvania 1, but they went to see the movie, and I'm sure they come back for lunch, and we'll have lunch soon. So I gotta cook lunch in about 5-10 minutes. I need to sign off and prepare lunch for the family. Sushi X say, I do want to see the collection. I'm here to please. I'm here for the people. I'm here for the peeps. Well, Terrence asks, I'm kind of interested to see how you store all your books. As of right now, I have a few long boxes, a few short boxes, and many of my books are on the shelf. I have a couple of shelves, but for the most part, I keep them in small magazine holder like this. Why? I hate digging through boxes to find anything. If I label this, you know, say, you know, the title, the books, it's easy for me to find them on the shelf. But really, you know, it's easier for me to grab this 30 books in one hand like this than you know, carrying short box or long box. But for years now, I have migrated my collection more and more into those magazine box, because it's just easier for me to find books, to locate books, and to carry the books from my office to the dining room table to make a video, things like that. So for the most part, that's how I am keeping my books, and I don't see myself changing my storage methods. Definitely not all in Mylar. I'm not a Mylar, MyLight kind of guy. As you can see, I have a hodgepodge of books in Mylar, in MyLight, and in poly bags. It's 11:58. 2 more minutes and time to sign off. Or anyhow, I'm bummed out that the Jorge could not join me for whatever reason. Could be some technical difficulties. But if you're not subscribed to Jorge, I highly recommend you subscribe to his channel, because he is a wonderful artist. I really like his drawing style and sketching style. He have a couple of videos up. He's supposed to put up a video soon on him inking. I can't wait to see that, because I am terrible at inking. And Jorge, if you're watching, I am still planning to do a video showing my inking style or lack of style. I have photocopied a bunch of penciling from this book, and I hope to ink it. For example, here's a perfect example. Okay, beautiful penciling by John Buscema. And hopefully I will do a video one of these days that show me try to ink John Buscema. It'd be fun to see. You know, I have done this many times, and you know, it's just fun things to do, even though the result is not very good. But I can't wait to see how you know, Jorge in his channel, on many of his sketches, you can see that he is much more gifted and trained than I am in the art of inking. So I can't wait to see his inking videos. You know, it is. I said this before. Inking is so underappreciated, but it is an art that is much needed. Uh, Without great inkers, we wouldn't have a lot of good comic books because penciling alone just doesn't. It's flat. Okay, often even as beautiful as a piece of art is, with just pencil, often to me it's kind of flat. But with the right ink, the right proportion of ink, it can make the art pop, add dimensions, add weight to the picture. So, and that's it. It's 12 o'clock. I will sign off, and thank you for all the great questions. I enjoy. I actually like this. You know, I'm glad I figured out on how to see all the posts for the first time. You know, last week I was stumbling through, but I think this is the first time that I was able to be more focused on seeing all the comments live. So much appreciated for all those that tune in and stay in and watch me listen to me ramble for 1 hour. That's it. Until next week, thanks for watching and keep collecting. Bye. Much appreciated for all those that tune in and stay in and watch me listen to me ramble for 1 hour. That's it. Until next week, thanks for watching and keep collecting.